Mr. O'Brien, would you call your next witness?
Your Honor, the defense calls Michelle Gill.
And if you would raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear that the testimony that you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Ma'am, if you'll pull that microphone as close as you can to. Do we have your full name? Spell your last name.
Michelle Gill, Gill.
Your home address, ma'am.
777 Annapolis Avenue, Akron, Ohio, 44310.
What's your marital status?
Married.
And your trade, vocation, or occupation?
Call center representative,
Where was that at?
Summit Racing.
Okay. And do you and your husband have any children?
One son,
His name?
Seth,
Okay. How long have you been married?
12 years this year.
Are you in any relation to William Knight?
He's my father.
Now, get right to the moment. On March 20th, 2017, are you in Summit County, Ohio?
Yes,
And are you over there on Annapolis?
yes.
And toward the late afternoon hours, does anything happen?
Well, my husband had found out that the dirt bike was for sale on Facebook.
Okay. And what does he do about it?
I tried to reach the police multiple times.
Was he successful?
No.
Got a hold of him once or twice, correct?
Yes.
Right. And eventually, though, did they ever meet up with him?
No.
Okay. Now, at a point in time, is there some discussion about you coming over to this meeting on Lenora?
Yes.
All right. And how are you to get over to Lenora?
With my father in his vehicle.
Okay. What kind of vehicles does he have?
Chevy Silverado.
Okay. What color is it?
Red.
Does it have any, is it a pickup truck?
Yes.
All right. On the back of the pickup truck, what does he have?
He's got a cap on the back of it.
Okay. Now, does there come a time when your husband is Curtis, correct?
Correct.
He goes over or heads toward this fellow's name. His house is Justin Badgett. Does that ring a bell?
Yes.
He lives on Lenora.
Yes.
Is that the Goodyear Heights area?
I guess I'm not familiar with what areas or which.
All right. Are you following directly behind Curtis with your dad?
No, we were still at the house when he left.
Okay. Did your dad ask, I'm sorry, did Curtis ask your dad to do anything special about following him?
No.
Something about a trailer?
Well, he'd asked you at first, I guess, if we could use the trailer, put it on my dad's truck.
What'd your dad say?
He didn't feel comfortable with putting it on there.
Okay.
Hitch.
All right, so is there come a point in time when you were being contacted by Curtis?
Yeah, a couple different times.
Why is that?
Just telling me that he was still waiting on police to arrive, that Justin was wanting him to get over to the house quick, things like that.
Okay. What's the daylight like at this point in time?
I don't recall.
All right. Now, does there come a point in time when you get to Lenora?
I never went to Lenore.
Does there come a point in time when you get to Danby?
Yes.
And are you in your father's truck?
Correct.
Is it just the two of you?
Yes.
Did Curtis go by himself ahead?
Yes.
All right. When you get to Danby, what's the first thing you do?
I got out of my dad's truck and went over to the sidewalk to find what the address was on the house,
Why'd you do that?
to call 911.
So the purpose was to tell 911 you were at 797 Danby, is that it?
Yes.
All right. And what did your dad do?
I don't know because I was talking with dispatch.
Okay. So is it fair to say that you just lose track of your dad while you're doing your own thing with the phone?
Yes.
All right. Do you know where Curtis is?
Yes.
Where's that?
He's in the street with Keith.
That'd be Keith Johnson?
Yes.
All right. And when your husband Kurt was planning on going over to look at this dirt bike, did he think it was the stolen one?
Yes.
All right. Why did he think that?
Because there was certain parts he had put on the bike that he recognized.
Custom parts?
Yeah.
Okay. And when you get over there, you get on the phone, is that correct?
Yes.
And then what is your husband doing and what is Keith Johnson doing?
Keith was on the bike. They were still talking about, the bike. Keith wanted money. My husband was telling him that he had the title and that it belonged to us.
Now, before your husband brings out the title, are the two of them having any problem at that point?
No.
Okay. When does the trouble start?
It kind of seemed when Kurt told him that he had the title, and then also Keith was concerned that I was on the phone. He kept saying, "Your wife's on the phone."
Did he know then that you were calling the police?
It sounded like he'd said that. Why is your wife calling 911?
Okay. So he was worried about the police showing up. Is that right?
Seemed that way.
What happens next?
Keith started revving the bike up, and my husband was trying to grab onto the bike.
All right, now, where are these people at this point in time?
They're in front of Kurt's truck on the street.
Okay. Right by the front grill, the front fender, the front tire, what?
Yeah, towards the front of the grill on the corner there,
Okay.
somewhere in there.
But they're in the street.
Yes.
Okay. Had Keith just run the bike up and down the street?
I never seen him running up and down the street.
All right, you were on the phone.
Yeah, he never, the whole time I was there, they were just right there in front of the truck.
Because you get there after your husband's there.
Correct.
All right. He's how far ahead of you in terms of minutes, if you know?
Maybe 5-10 minutes.
Okay. What are you telling the dispatcher?
I was just trying to, I guess, give her a summary, let her know that we had found her dirt bike, that my husband had been trying to contact the police for a couple hours, trying to get somebody there to help us retrieve it. Gave her the address. Just, letting her know why we're there, what was going on.
While you're still on the phone, does anything happen?
And that's again where the bike was being revved up by Keith, and my husband started grabbing onto the bike.
What do you do, if anything?
I had went up and grabbed my husband to pull him away, just not worry, not to be in the situation, just let him go.
All right. Are you successful?
No.
Okay. What do you do after that?
I was just standing there by then. That's when Keith had drove off on the dirt bike. And
All right. I'm mostly concerned right now with your movements. Okay? So after Keith drives off, what do you do or where do you go?
I was still standing right there in front of the truck in the street.
Okay. Does there come a point in time when you ever move from that spot?
Only to go over to my father after everything
All right.
had happened.
Your father has this red truck, is that right?
Yes.
Where is the red truck?
It was across the street by then, I guess to the right of me.
All right. And which way is it pointed? Toward the dead end or toward Eastwood?
Towards Eastwood.
Okay. Is there a fire hydrant nearby?
I didn't notice if there was.
Did you eventually see the fire hydrant by the
Yes.
truck? Okay.
Eventually, yeah.
All right. Now, we have Mr. Johnson driving away, is that correct?
Yes.
Do you see him his entire route?
Yes.
Okay? So he gets away, I'll use that phrase, from Kurt.
Yes.
Where does he go?
He ran into a car that was parked across the street.
Then what happens?
The bike kind of like fell to the side and he got back up on it and then did a wheelie towards my direction.
Okay. Now, where's Kurt at this point in time?
I did not recognize where he was at. I was stuck on watching the dirt bike.
This dirt bike making any noise?
It was very loud.
What's the lighting like at this point?
Pretty dark.
Is it dark?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, the bike is coming, a stop. Once Mr. Johnson gets on the bike, does he continue down toward Eastwood?
No.
Okay. What's he do?
I got back up on it and headed towards my direction.
All right. The spot where you're at, when he starts back up toward you and Kurt, where are you?
I'm still in the street in front of Kurt's truck.
Okay. At any point, when you start calling on the phone to 911, where are you then?
Then I was on the sidewalk in front of the house.
Okay. And so, are you moving around at certain points in time?
I may have paced a little bit right there,
All right. So you made a phone call up on the sidewalk, and then you come down to help Kurt?
but yes,
Okay. And then Mr. Johnson drives away, is that correct?
correct.
All right. Then he turns the bike around,
Yes.
is that correct?
Yep.
All right. Comes back toward you and Kurt, is that correct?
Yes.
All right. As he's coming up the street, does anything happen?
I mean, made a wheelie, I don't know.
Well, okay, he does a wheelie. Now, where's Kurt at this point in time as he's doing this wheelie?
He was somewhere on the ground there, right? He was on the ground.
Okay. Is he hit by the bike?
I couldn't tell.
All right. And then he goes to the ground, is that what you're saying?
Kurt does, yes.
All right. Then what is Mr. Johnson doing?
And then after he was in the wheelie, then he went to the ground and then the
Okay.
bike slid under.
All right. At this point, what do you do? You're still on the phone, is that correct?
Yeah, I'm on the phone the whole
With
time.
911. What do you do at this point?
I was looking around for everybody and then I found my dad and I went over to him,
Where was he at?
standing in front of his truck.
Okay. All right. When you are trying to pull Kurt off the dirt bike, do you feel in danger then?
I didn't feel in danger then, no.
Okay. At a point later on, do you feel any danger or being in danger?
Yeah,
Why is that?
because I had a motorized vehicle coming at me.
Okay. Now, you made a statement within a couple of hours of this incident back, would be probably around midnight or the early morning hours of March 21st, did you not?
Yes,
Okay. And you made that statement in the detective bureau
yes,
next door, as a matter of fact, okay? With one or two detectives?
yes.
All right. And did you tell them then that you were not in danger? What did you mean by that?
At the time when we got there, yeah, I didn't feel in danger.
All right. But it was later on, is that what you're saying now?
Yes.
Okay. What state of mind were you in a couple of hours after this incident?
I was in shock.
Okay. After Mr. Johnson goes down on the bike, where does he wind up?
A little bit under Kurt's truck,
All right, that's the black truck.
yes.
And you have what, crossed the street by now?
Yes,
You said earlier you went to where your dad was.
yes,
I think you said he was over by his red truck, correct?
yes,
All right. Are you still on the phone?
yes.
All right. And what happened, how long does it take you to get from, let's say, in front of the black truck over to the red truck?
I don't know, like 4 or 5 car lengths.
All right, so 4 or 5 car lengths, whatever it takes
Yeah.
to go that far?
Yeah, 15, 20 seconds maybe.
Okay. And what is your dad doing?
I was just standing there in front of the truck.
All right. You're still on the phone, is that correct?
Yeah.
All right. What happens next?
My dad takes the phone to talk with dispatch.
What does he tell them? If you could hear it.
I heard him say his name, his social, and just that he had to shoot Keith because he was coming at me, my husband, and the family.
Do you see where he puts the gun?
I didn't see him. I think I heard him say later on to the dispatch that he put it under or over by the fire hydrant, but I never seen him do it.
Okay. Do you know whether or not it was actually found there by the fire hydrant?
I don't know.
Okay, all right. This is so upsetting to you that you said you're in shock.
Yes.
How long were you in shock over this?
Days.
All right. At any time while you're riding over in your dad's pickup truck, and you're on your way to what ultimately is Danmead, does your father say anything about hurting anybody or shooting anybody?
No.
What is your focus and your dad's focus when you're driving over to Danmead?
Just to get to Curtis.
And who has asked your dad to come over to Danmead?
Curtis did before I left the house
And why was that?
to use my dad's truck to put the dirt bike in
Why didn't Curtis use his?
because he had tools in there.
Judge, thank you.
Hello, Ms. Gill.
Hi.
My name's John Baum, and I'm Assistant County Prosecutor. All right, we've never met before, is that fair?
Very.
I'm going to ask you a variety of questions. If at any time you don't hear me, don't understand me, please let me know, and I'll repeat the question. Is that fair?
Yes.
I understand that at the time, and you were living at 777 Annapolis, is that correct?
Correct.
You lived there with Curtis and with your son Seth?
Yes.
How old is Seth?
16.
And in regards to, your father did not live with you at that address?
Correct.
As far as distance, as far as how long it takes to get from Annapolis to, say, Danmead, how long of a ride was that?
I'm not for sure because we got lost and was trying to use GPS to find it.
If you were to estimate how many blocks away or miles away, do you have any idea how far away it is?
I would, maybe 5 miles, less than 5, I don't know, somewhere in there.
Okay. And on March 20th, information comes out that this dirt bike has been located, correct?
Correct.
Who's home at the time? Who's in the house when that information comes out?
My husband.
Is Seth there as well?
Oh, 7, yes,
And
sorry.
what about your father? Is he there at that time?
No.
And is there somewhat of an excitement that this bike, which has been gone for 13 months, has now been located?
I don't know if it was excitement, but
What was the emotions that were going on in that household at that point?
just surprised to see it because we really never thought we would see it again.
Sure. I mean, when it was stolen, I imagine there was some anger and frustration being a victim of a theft offense. Is that fair to say?
Yeah.
Your father, he was aware of the bike being stolen back in February of 2016?
Yeah.
He shared in, the grief of Seth or the anger of everybody else. Would that be fair to say?
Sure.
Approximately when you're at the house, then when does your father arrive?
Maybe around 6, because I left work at 5:30, so probably about 6 o'clock.
So when you get home, is he there or he
No.
arrives after you?
After I get home.
And Curtis is there?
Curtis is...
And at this point, there's already information that this bike, which you believe is Seth's, is being advertised online, correct?
Yeah, correct.
Did your father just coincidentally show up, or was he called over in regards to what was going on?
Yeah, he just showed up. He always just pops in.
Okay. But he was told now what the situation was?
Once he got there, yeah.
And we heard of a text message that you received. Well, strike that. In regards to Curtis then, when is the decision made that he's going to go leave and travel towards obtaining the bike?
After they made contact with Justin and set up their time to do that.
Okay. So at this point, you knew the name of Justin Badgett, is that correct? When
Yes.
Curtis is leaving? You had an address on Lenore, is that correct?
Yes.
You had a picture of Justin from the Facebook or from the site, is that correct?
Yes.
And you also had a picture of the dirt bike, correct?
Correct.
And were you guys doing screenshots or saving all this information on your phones?
Yes.
So at this point, I mean, you have a lot of information short of the bike to give police in regards to who has this stolen bike. Is that fair to say?
Yes.
When Curtis leaves, why don't you both leave together at that point?
Because he didn't know if Keith would even give him the bike, and he was still waiting on police, so he was hoping to get the police's advice or help with getting it, so.
But
The dirt bike. Yeah, he was hoping to get the police to show up to help retrieve the dirt bike, so.
But at this point, I thought that you needed your father's truck in order to get the dirt bike. So wasn't that a necessary part of retrieving the dirt bike?
Yes, but he didn't want us there until he was able to get the bike.
So was that discussed? Did you guys kind of, when you're at the house before he leaves, kind of discuss when he's going to contact you, when you guys are all going to go there?
Yeah, he just said, I'll let you know if we can get the dirt bike or not.
Was there any talk of just having Curtis drive your father's truck, since that was the truck that was needed to bring back the dirt bike?
I don't recall anything like that.
Was there any talk of you just taking your father's truck and joining Kurt?
No.
Your father at that time, you had a carry and concealed weapon permit, is that correct?
Yes.
Did he carry, if you know, did he carry that gun with him at all times?
I don't know.
And did you know when you left 777 Annapolis that he had that .357 revolver with him?
I did not know.
Had you seen that revolver before?
In the past, yeah.
Do you know how long he had that revolver for?
I don't recall.
As far as we've heard that there was a text message from close to that time range where he says it's all just aggravation and amped to get it back in the same sense. Do you remember that?
Yes.
That text message? And do you recall where you were when you got that text message? Where you would have been around close to 8 o'clock?
I was at my house.
You were still at the house. Did you share that text message with your father at that point, that there was aggravation and that Curtis was getting amped up?
I don't think so.
When exactly is the decision made for you and your father then to get in his vehicle and travel towards where Curtis was located?
When Kurt told me that Justin was taking him to a second location.
So he's already at Lenore, at Justin's place, but at that point, nobody's asking for you guys to come to that location.
Correct.
It's not until he's going to a second location that the decision is made for you and your father to start heading over there.
Correct.
Right. And you indicated it took you you got lost, but do you remember about how long did it take you to get over to Dayton?
5-10 minutes.
And I'm going to put on the screen what's been marked as State's Exhibit number 1. I'll give you a chance to kind of activate yourself. This has been identified as Dan Mead and Eastwood. Eastwood is on the right side of your screen. 797 is the house that's been indicated as to where's the car that parked in front. Does it look familiar to you as you're seeing that?
Yes.
As far as when you arrived, then what vehicles do you notice?
I'd seen my husband's truck first,
Okay. And where was that parked?
in front of the house.
And do you recall, when we look at the house there at 797, is it closer to the driveway on the right or the driveway on the left?
I would say to the left.
To the left?
Yeah, on the right side. Do I tap it or something, or I don't know?
Yeah, if you
do
touch the
this.
screen, it should be able to indicate.
So in that area is where he's parked.
Yes.
Do you notice if there is a car, a Civic in front of that vehicle?
I thought there was another one on the other side of the driveway, over there somewhere.
And when you pull up, where do you two pull up?
We pull up right behind Kurt's truck.
So, just to raise your last arrow, your recollection is that when you pull up with your dad, and who's driving at that point?
My dad.
You pull up right behind Curtis's truck,
Yes.
correct? And is that when you're let out of the car?
Yes.
And at that point, is there any reason that you're aware of to move the truck?
No.
You would later learn, however, that your father did not stay in that position, correct?
Correct.
He made a decision not only to go down the street, but to turn around and then park right there. Is that correct?
Correct.
And so although there were other spaces closer to where Curtis's truck where it was and the individuals were, your father's truck was a couple houses away on the opposite side of the street, correct?
Yes.
When you get out, how quickly is it that you call 911?
Pretty much as soon as I get out, as soon as I hit the sidewalk, I'm looking for the address and calling.
And we've heard your 911 call. And do you recall telling them that a cop was supposed to come out here with us to retrieve the bike, but they ended up getting another call?
Correct.
So at that point, when you've arrived and you've gone to Dan Mead, you pretty much know the police aren't going to be there at that point, correct?
Correct.
You know, your father knows, correct?
Well, yeah, they're not there. Yeah.
But I mean, you're talking, I mean, are you and your father having conversations about this situation? You know, about, is he asking, are the police going to be there?
He knew that we were trying to get in touch with the police, and that's, I mean, we knew the police weren't going to be there. That's why I was calling again to try and get somebody out there.
And so your father also knew when he went there that the police were not there, correct?
Yes.
And as you indicated, he was on another call. Would it be fair to say that up until the time where Keith starts revving the bike, that you're pretty calm in your demeanor and in your voice?
Yes.
And would that also be reflective of, at that point, you were feeling fairly calm about the situation?
Yes.
You indicate to them, of course, they don't want to give it to us. So common sense kind of told you that you're not automatically going to go there and this guy's just going to give up the bike. At least that was possible, but in your mind, that's pretty unlikely. Is that correct?
Yes.
Did you discuss that with your father as well? That, hey, you know, I'll be shocked if this guy just hands over the bike at this point.
No.
Did he make any comments about that?
No.
So there was no discussions about the likelihood of just showing up, getting the bike, putting it in the trunk, and going on your way.
No.
And though we're breaking this down kind of moment by moment, this all happens extremely fast. Is that fair to say?
Yes.
And on the 911 tape, you can actually hear, I believe, the revving of the bike. Would it be that? Do you recall the revving of the bike being loud enough that at that point, you know,
It was loud.
It was extremely loud, right? And it's at that point that in your mind, Keith Johnson is trying to get away, correct?
Yes.
He wants to leave.
Mm-hmm.
And I need to just say
Yes.
yes or no.
Sorry.
But it is Curtis who grabs onto the bike and is preventing him from leaving.
Yes.
And you're opposed to that idea.
Yes.
You don't think that's a good idea, correct?
Yes.
I mean, that at this point, while you've been calm up to that point, now you're getting a little bit worried and upset, and it's your intention to get him off of Keith,
Yes.
right? To get him away
Away
from
from the
Keith,
bike, yeah.
correct?
Yes.
And is it your testimony that you pull him off the bike, or is it actually Keith that is able to pull away and get away by himself without you being involved?
Keith just pulled away, got away by himself.
And at that time, he runs into the cars that are parked almost directly across the street, correct? And I need to
Yes.
say yes or no. And it's an extremely short distance, is that fair to say? Just the other side of the street. It's not like he went down the street where these cars are parked,
Yes.
correct? And it's from that hit that it causes that bike to redirect as
Yes.
far as which way it's pointed. Is that correct?
Yes.
Did the bike actually go down? Do you remember him going down with the bike?
Yeah, he was still on it, but the bike did go down.
And Curtis then starts going towards the bike.
Yes.
Now, your attention was on Curtis, and when you can't get him to get off, isn't it true that you backed away, and the next thing you know, Curtis backed away? And the next thing you know, Keith is on the ground.
Yes.
I mean, you spoke with police, or you had the 911 call, correct?
Yes.
In which you indicated that the guy was trying to get away and your father shot him. You told them that, correct?
Yes.
And then you talked to police that same evening. You were transported to the Akron Police Department, correct?
Yes.
And you had a conversation, I believe there was about I think it was a 36-minute interview. They kind of left for a while and then detectives came back.
Yes.
And do you recall that in all that time, you never told them, one, that Curtis ever fell to the ground or was on the ground? Is that true? I mean, we've reviewed the tape and defense. Have you seen that, the interview?
No, I haven't seen him.
So if I were to tell you that in that entire interview, you never say that you see Curtis fall to the ground, would that be accurate?
It may have, it's so long ago.
And that you never say that you felt that the bike was coming towards you at any time in that 36-minute interview?
I don't recall.
Do you recall saying, I'm trying to grab my husband, I don't want him to get hurt, and I'm like, get off of him. I pulled away, and my husband pulled away. And the next thing I know, the dirt bike is sliding. And I didn't even honestly know that my dad had shot him. I didn't even hear a gunshot. Everything happened so quick.
Yes.
That was your statement?
Yes.
Again, later, you went over the version, I think, 3 different times at their request. And the next time you say, it's like I said, the bike took off, my husband's grabbing on and went to try to get him off, and I backed away. My husband's still kind of there, and then he backed away. Then the bike is down. I honestly didn't hear a shot, I just saw the bike crash. Did you
Yes.
tell them that as well?
Yes.
So, and I'll give you the 3rd version as well, to be fair. The question was, did you get hit by the bike at all? No. You answered, I ran after my husband, so I was kind of over here for a minute. I was trying to get him off, just to get off the guy, just trying to stop him from latching on to him. Question, when the bike skidded out, were you like about to get hit or anything? And you answered no. Is that also what occurred in the interview?
Yes.
So in all 3 versions, you never say that you saw Kurt get hit by the bike, correct?
Correct.
You never say you saw Kurt go to the ground, correct?
Correct.
And you never say that you felt that the bike was coming, or you noticed the bike coming at you in your direction.
Correct.
Do you recall after the shooting saying to your husband, oh my God, I can't believe he did that," referring to your husband firing that gun?
Or, can you say that again?
After the shooting's done, okay? I imagine you realized, even though you didn't see the shot, you kind of realized now what happened, correct?
Correct.
We hear 911, you made the conclusion that your dad had shot him and that Keith Johnson was trying to leave. After you get off the phone with 911, do you say to your husband Curtis, oh my God, I can't believe he shot him"? Remember making that statement?
Something like that, yeah.
You talked to a Dr. Jolie Brahms in this case. She was someone who was evaluating your father for this specific criminal trial.
Yes,
Did you tell her that your dad had a degree of suspicion about the world around him and a heightened anxiety?
yes,
Did you tell her that you kind of saw him as a hypochondriac, someone who's kind of abnormally anxious about his health?
yes,
And did you tell her that he's somebody who is overreactive?
yes.
No further questions.
When you give a statement to the police that's about 36 minutes long, this incident is barely 3 hours old, is that correct?
Correct.
And I think you indicated on direct that you were in shock,
Yes,
and that you felt like you were in shock for a couple of days, is that correct?
yes,
All right. Now, when this bike is coming back up the road, what did Kurt do?
I don't recall.
Okay. Are you concentrating on the noise from the bike, or what are you concentrating on?
Yeah, I'm watching the dirt bike.
Okay. You don't know really where your father is at this point, do you?
No, I don't.
And today when you testify, it's been 1 year and about 2 weeks since this happened. Is that
Yeah,
correct?
Yes,
When Kurt was trying to grab the handlebars of the bike, is that correct?
yes,
And you're trying to pull him off?
Yes.
Is that correct? All right. At that point in time, who is the true owner of that dirt bike?
the true owner would be us. It's in Curtis's name.
Curtis and who?
Curtis's name.
Thank you, Your Honor.
No further questions, Judge.
All right, Dan, you may sit down.
Thank you.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's take our lunch break at this time. Once again, please don't talk amongst yourselves or with anyone else about this case. And we will reconvene then if you would be back in the jury room at 1:15. Thank you.
All rise.